night. It's your girl, Miss Well and Woke, and I'm here with my girl, Lady A Savage.
Yes, sir.
So, y'all know last time we were kicking it with y'all, we had a conversation about creating safe spaces in relationships. This time around, I'm going to tell y'all right now, it's going to get real tonight. It's going to get real in the field tonight because it's a different level of conversation.
Very transparent.
Um, when you when you've gotten to be the age that we are, you start to learn things about the relationships that you experience. And baby, when I tell you, I thought Risa Tisa had horror stories. I think we all got some of those in the closet.
Let me tell you, when that whole Risa Tisa thing came out, I was like, baby, if we all did this about a year before you, okay, we could have had a story to tell.
I feel like most of the world started trauma bonding by watching the video. It was like, girl. Now, I will say this. That situation was like the severe end of Delulu for me. It was like at the top tier part of Delulu. But I think most importantly, there's so many women out there and men who have experienced toxic relationships and really just stayed longer than they needed to at the party.
That's a fact. But I feel like for multiple reasons, more than one. Sometimes I feel like low key we go to parties we aren't even on the list for. We force ourselves to be at parties we shouldn't be at.
Oh yeah, 110%. Like, you know how you can enter into a relationship with all the right intentions, but I started to realize, especially for a lot of folks, everybody has a lot of self-serving needs as to why they get with their partner. And so many people put the real reasons why they entered in the relationship on the back burner. You know, you hear people say, I hear men say, there's a lot of women, oh, they only want me for my money. I'm not good if I don't have the cash. You hear a lot of women say, oh, he only wants somebody to take care of him. They want me to be their mama. But the reality of it is a lot of people lacking in self-love end up in relationships that help fulfill something within them that they feel like they need to keep
I can see
going.
that.
And I feel like, yeah, that's what we got to talk about. That's the real deal. Like, why did you stay so long in these like really effed up situations and relationships that didn't serve you? What was going on with you, the individual, that allowed for you to sit in that discomfort?
Mm.
And some people are better at leaving out the party early. Like, I mean, I have stayed at a let out or two.
Let me tell you something right now. I am at the stage and age. If you cough wrong, if you breathe wrong, if you move wrong, if your tone goes over 7, it's so many things where now I ain't got the time.
I think growing up, I used to watch different people and how they engage in their relationships. And I feel like I got a lot of good stuff just by paying attention. You know what you want and you know what you And one thing that was always a non-negotiable is disrespect. And I think that comes in various forms. I think that people start off in their relationships and it's not the intention for them to disrespect one another, but I see it develop over time. And I've always seen like,
Sometimes,
you see the
sometimes I feel like it do be the attention though. Sometimes I feel like a lot of people come in with the attention that disrespect is what they do.
I really feel like it's a shift because I feel, well, how could you get in a relationship with somebody? I know that people do. You get in a relationship with somebody, and there's like the first signs of red flags within the first 5 to 10 encounters of this person where you're seeing things that you don't like.
Mhm.
There has to be some reason why you feel like you got to stay. Most of the time, you have at least a friend, a family member, somebody who knows you. If they've encountered that person, they'll tell you straight up, mm, they're not talking to you correctly. They're not treating you right. They moving on you funny.
Mhm.
And sometimes it can be a little bit more subtle than that. Sometimes people only turn into the devil when they're not in the presence of others.
True, but sometimes I feel like when we talk about it, where it's the representative. Some of these people, that's who you are. You are the devil. You are the devil walking on ground. But you gave me your representative. And then what happened is I fell in love with the representative. I fell in like with the representative.
Yeah, then the representative started calling out sick. You started
What?
getting the other people that showed up
He
on.
stopped showing up. He stopped showing up. And the real person came and bust your ass.
We used to have that
Because a lot of
conversation.
times when you're in those relationships, the person who you fell in love with, the person who originally caught you, who had you, that's not the person anymore. That was the representative. They showed up for 3, 4 months. and it was cool. You was having a good time. Y'all was partying. It was everything. Then all of a sudden you woke up and that nigga was gone.
So you're referring to what my mother used to call euphoria. Everybody gets into that infatuation stage. Too many people slap a label of love on their relationships too early in the game. When you're just caught up, you're enamored with somebody, like you said, who they present themselves to be. And then you get all
Mm-hmm.
these little small signs along the way that show you that's not really who that person is. That's not their real character. But a lot of people ignore that. Why do you think that is?
Ooh, I don't think it's on purpose. I don't think you
Mm.
purposely try to ignore it.
I choose to believe that, like I said, that self-serving thing that happens for people is some people just want to be in relationships. Some people just want to be connected to another person,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what it costs them. Some
But
people are
also,
lacking a level of love that allows for them to engage with a person that may not be for them. And that's what I feel like allows people to sit in those situations a lot longer than they're willing to admit.
true. And I feel like also it kind of goes back to a lot of topics we've talked about before. Where's the history too? It's kind of like I tell people all the time, you are what you're raised around. So sometimes depending on what you saw, depending on what was around you, what happened in your childhood, what you were around can be a thing too to make you grow up and how you move in those relationships.
So some people are raised, like I said, off of survival. Some people are raised off of love,
Mm-hmm.
and some people are struggling and straddling the fence in between that. And I feel like that does have a core to how people engage. If you watched a cycle of abuse growing up in your household, then it is a likely that there could be a pattern. Some people rebel against that. They're like, I don't want any relationship like I've seen when I was growing up. But they may find an abuser in some form of fashion. So where if you
Mm-hmm.
witness maybe domestic violence or intimate partner violence, growing up, whether it be in the community or within your family or with even in some of the friendships with people that you've seen how they got down, those couples, you still have
I know
that burn to the brain. And I feel like a lot of people, you may say, hey, I didn't want that, but found yourself getting into an aspect of that, even if it's more like emotional abuse.
for sure. Because I will say, I noticed a lot of men, well, in my passing, I noticed a lot of men who have been, abusers or, whether it be physically, mentally, or emotionally, somebody in their household was under it or were doing it. It was something that had them like, this is the norm. It's okay for me to call you a raggedy bitch. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the norm of what they saying.
But see, that's the thing. There's two people in every situation. And,
Mm-hmm.
I would never say to anybody who's experiencing that level of violence, whether it be emotional or physical, like you never blame the person who's being victimized by the other party. At the same time, there's also a lot of things, reasons why people do end up staying. Sometimes that's financial.
Mm.
Sometimes you get into a relationship with somebody and you feel like, look, this is how my bills get paid. This is the roof over my head. This is my whole livelihood. I'm not willing to go back broke. I'm not willing to go back on the street. And there's plenty of people who find themselves in relationships, men and women alike, who stay for those reasons, even if they're subjecting themselves to situations that they don't want to be in.
So let me ask you this, friend, since we're being transparent, what made you stay in some of these relationships?
And so I can say honestly, like I've never been in like a physically abusive relationship, but I can say I've been in emotionally abusive relationships.
Okay.
And all honesty, I feel like the men that I had involved myself with in the past, it they had, like I said, wolves in sheep's clothing. I will start by saying that it was some of the glamour that they brought. It was some
Mm-hmm.
of who they presented themselves to be in the beginning of the situation. But then I
Mm-hmm.
owned it. I had to realize something within myself. I was staying for all the wrong reasons. Time
Mm-hmm.
invested. I'm
Time
gonna say something that a
is
lot
a
of women will
bitch.
not. Yeah, I'm gonna say something a lot of women will not admit, and a lot of men either. When you have invested time in a relationship, especially over periods of time, especially as you get older as a woman, you start to say it's the devil you do know versus the devil you
Yeah.
don't know. Do I
I
continue
tell
to
people all
deal with
the
this
time.
person
I
in hopes that it'll
tell people all the
change, or do
time.
I move on from the situation?
Yes. I tell people all the time that time and love is what saves a lot of these people in their relationships. It's the time that you have with a person. It's the love that you feel for a person. That's the only reason they kick your ass to the curb because they feel like I've been with this person for 7 years. I've been with this person for 10 years. I've been with this person for 15 years. I actually had somebody who told me one time they were in this terrible, and I do mean terrible about all sensitive form relationship. And they pretty much was with this man for like 15 years. And they were like, who's going to want me now? Like, I've been with this man. He had my good years. I don't know if you hear people say that, like, oh, he got my good years, this, that, and the third. Nobody's going to want me now. This, I might as well just stay with him because I done invested 15 years. We have a kid. We have this. I might as well just stay.
Baby, no, I'm gonna tell you this right now. For any woman who has that mindset, you are pure pressure. Don't ever let nobody make you feel anything different other than that you are pure pressure. I feel like in those situations, society puts a lot of pressure on women, especially as they age, to stay in unhealthy situations because they're always running the clock now. And that's just
Yeah,
the real on it. You know, they give us less time to play. A man is told that he could play for the rest of his days. He's told that he can go off this earth, 80-something-year-old man, and that nobody's clocking his timeline. But for a woman, the timeline is always on a countdown. So
it's
there's a
constantly
rhetoric that's
coming.
in this
And
world. It's constantly
I feel
counting.
like that is what messes us up too, like you said, because you be like, I'm 35, I don't have kids. I'm 40, I don't have kids yet. And you put yourself in this crunching time because that's what everybody tells you. Even the older people come back to you like, you 38, you ain't got no kids, you not married, you not nothing yet. Shouldn't you speed this up?
Right? But you know the real deal about that? I feel like you got Miss Brenda and them that was getting their head knocked in sometimes. Let's call a spade a spade. There's a
No,
lot
for
of
real.
older
You get
women
your head knocked in
of
between the
those
kitchen table, and you up here telling me I need to go ahead and hurry up and be with whoever I need to be with. Excuse
I
me, because I
think
want to scan these niggas first.
the one thing that I give our generation, and I would especially say for both men and women alike, is that we are trying to be careful with our hearts in that capacity. Yeah, everybody's playing the game with the whole situationships. Everybody's playing the game, but I think people are also trying to protect themselves in the long run. Because those old school relationships, you had people saying, hey, you know what? I'm cool if he knocked me down every now and again. The roof is still over my head. Food is still on the table.
Here's
Back
the
in the
thing.
day, women
Back
situations because they
in the
didn't
day,
have access and privilege.
I'm gonna tell you something right now. Back in the day, women weren't fighting back. That's what it was. Now you want to protect your peace because you want to protect your inmate number. I don't have time to be inmate 27659 because if you play with me wrong, guess what's going to happen?
But
Go
you know what?
ahead and get
Let's go.
ready. Go ahead
You
and get
gotta,
ready to send me my little commissary.
but you gotta call a spade a spade. How many women aren't sitting behind bars from finding themselves in situations like? I'm gonna say it like this: whether you are a natural born fighter and you fight back in those situations, why would you want anybody to disturb your peace and get you to the point where your freedom is at stake? I don't want to be in any relationship that is toxic to the point where the thing that's so valuable as my freedom
Mhm.
allows me to stand behind bars. I'll have
But
no
see,
energy towards that.
I will say the me now can say that. The me now at my age can say no nigga is gonna make me sit up here and serve jail time. Now me in my 20s could have been I could have been somebody sell me.
I thought I was gonna have to put money on your books, friend. I thought I was gonna have to put money on the books because here was had you visitation no longer comes by. Like I feel you. I feel
You know what
you.
I'm saying? The me now though, like I said, that's why I said if somebody moves around me wrong in certain things, and everybody I know, like I said, we all are having our own healing journey. So I know me. I can still get worked up. I can still be those things, but bring it down. So I can't let nobody bring that out of me because I know this is what could happen. So I'm at that age now. I'm not going to let that happen. But like I said, at one point I gave you what the fuck you was looking for. How you want to go about it?
You know, like we were talking about saying a lot of women don't want to sit up there and invest their times in these long relationships that you feel like are not going in the direction that you want to go in. And nobody wants anybody playing in their face. But you know that expression that people used to use that said, oh, like don't waste your good stuff, don't waste your tightness, don't waste your years and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like that's another one of those old factors that kick in for a lot of people. You feel like you don't want to go around spreading love and light to everybody. And I think a lot of people like that gets into their mindset, right? You don't want to sit around giving yourself out to everybody. Soul ties are real.
Yes.
Soul ties are a major thing. And I think a lot of the times the people that you lay down with, they get to your soul a lot quicker that way. And that's also a way that people create those relationships and those connections to people who shouldn't have been allowed to touch your body or be in your personal space.
You ain't lying. That's why I get it. Everybody likes to be grown, do grown up activities. But let me tell you, it's a such thing in the body, and I call it all the time. It's called the reset button. Don't let nobody hit the reset button in you that messes up your mental, and that's what happens. No.
Because we try to teach ourselves to disconnect from the concepts of sex and relationship and connection and emotion, and you really can't do it. I feel like so many times people tell themselves, I could deal with somebody and not catch real feelings. We see every day, there's people on the news every day where
All the
somebody caught some type of
time.
feeling
But you
in
know
a
what?
situation when
I can't say I don't agree. I do feel like there are certain people that can get into a situation and really catch no feelings. Now, I will say this. Somebody is going to catch feelings. Now, I do believe that one person really might not catch the feelings. Like, hey, we're doing this, we're doing that, XYZ. Somebody is going to catch a feeling when it comes to two people. But I do feel there's people out here that can really move like that.
let me tell you, being somebody who rarely catches a feeling about any situation, I'll honestly say it's because of how you move and how you're emotionally set up. It doesn't always mean that it's the healthiest situation to put yourself in. I'll be the first to say
Mhm.
that. A lot of people are still in the process of healing themselves. So they don't open themselves to situations that allow for them to move in a space where they can get hurt. And I say that there are a lot of reason why. So I'll talk to a lot of the women out here. A lot of the reason why men move in the way that they move because they're acting in a place of protecting themselves.
Right.
Men tend to get very deeply involved and connected as well. They are putting on protective shields too. They don't want to get heavily invested and involved too. So I feel like for both sides of the coin, if you're in a relationship with somebody who's like, "Oh, I don't catch feelings like that," that's a toxic statement in itself. Feelings are
You ain't.
normal.
You
People are
say you
supposed
ain't
to
did the
feel
work
them.
yet.
That's it. You got to continue to do the work. That's what I'm saying. I'm honest. I'm one of those people. If you can honestly go around saying like I don't foster that connection, it's not because you're somebody who doesn't want a connection. It's somebody because you're still working on developing how to maneuver those feelings. Because
Yeah.
everybody has them. When do we become like less human in society and say like nobody give a fuck? F these niggas, F these bitches. Like why? Like when do we become those people?
But also at the same time, like you said, everybody has a different healing journey. But some people have to admit you ain't even get on the road yet. Some people haven't got on the road to healing yet. Like we all have a healing journey, but did you even get in the car and like start the car up to get on the path?
Right? But see, that's the problem. Those are people who shouldn't be in relationships, but they find themselves in it. They find themselves in it all of the time.
Yes,
And you're not going to
because
identify
because the fact of
with
the
a
matter
if
is you like the company, but you don't want the whole relationship. You want compassion without commitment.
see, that's a companionship. That was key. I think many people like having a companion, but may not be ready to enter into healthy relationships. And we've given, many tips of the trade and had conversations about what is healthy versus not healthy. Now, I can't tell everybody how to live their life in that aspect,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a fine line on what you and your partner and how y'all should engage with each other. And like I said, respect for me is just the minimum. I can't tell
That's right.
another woman what to tolerate. I can't tell another man what to tolerate in their household or in their relationship. But I think at the core of it, if you have self respect and self love, there's things that you can't let even slide on you. That's why I feel like if you let a lot of things to go over your head and to mess
Mm-hmm.
with your mental health space, you got to do that work, that deep seated work to pick yourself up before you invest time in any other human beings. Because it'll be harder to walk away.
True. But it is a lot easier said than done. And I had to understand that for myself. Like the me now can say, you know what, I did the work. But at one point, that wasn't the plan. It wasn't even in my thought process. You know what I'm saying?
I think because everybody has to have a breaking
Yeah.
point, and you always got to hope that your breaking point is the lowest point
Ooh,
in the world,
ooh.
right?
Let
Like I
me
said,
tell you.
I've seen many a woman where their breaking point had to be because they almost closed the casket, right? I've seen many women their breaking point was because they almost became inmate, like you said,
I'm trying to tell you,
365-9K,
inmate
right? I've seen
27959.
I've seen
Okay?
two people where their breaking point look like your bank account was cleared out. I've seen too many people look like, oh, that baby that they lied about, that ain't
Mm,
your child. I've seen
mm,
too many people getting taken to their breaking point because they
mm.
didn't do the work they needed to do for themselves. And that's like, hey, that's across the board.
You ain't said nothing but a preach moment. I'm up here like, I felt like it hit my soul. Like,
And I think that's what's fostering a lot of the animosity that we keep seeing today. You hear so many, I mean, like, sometimes I get on social media and I'm personally disgusted with the stuff that I see. I see a generation of men and women, like Tupac said, like, they gonna make the babies and hate the ladies. You see a lot of that energy that transpires because people have not been taught to value one another and how to enter into these healthy situations. And
mm.
that lack of self-love, you're mad because you entered a relationship before you should have with somebody you shouldn't have,
And you
who
don't want to
wasn't
admit it.
healed, and you don't want to admit it. There's ownership in everything that we do. I can honestly
Yes,
say I stayed too long at certain parties. If I felt like
yes. At one,
I was being
at,
disrespected,
at one point, you have to take personal accountability.
that's it.
At some
We
point,
all
you
have,
have to take the personal accountability.
and I think that some people get better at it over time. They start to realize we all play a part in our situations. And
Mm-hmm.
when you work on that, heal that inner child, whatever you may have witnessed and experienced when you were younger, there's always an opportunity for you to heal those wounds. And I feel like
Yeah.
you have to do that in effort for you to be a better version of yourself and to be able to engage in healthy relationships, whether it just be in a relationship or with family, friends, anybody. You got to be in the space to do that. It's just so
But you,
unfortunate
but
that
you have to be
so many
willing
people
to put yourself
struggle.
in that space. And it's kind of like that's something I know we'll end up talking about eventually, or we kind of also pre-talked about. It's kind of like the steps and like you said, the personal accountability of like, are you ready to take those steps? Are you ready to do what you have to do to finally admit like this is why I do what I do. This is why I don't have the respect that I have. This is why I treat you the way I treat you. This is why I do this and need my personal time. At some point we have to sit there and be ready to do the work. And it sounds easy. It sounds easy us even talking about it. But like I said, I know for me, even the me now, I ain't gonna lie, the me now shocks me that I'm the me now, for real, for real. When I know where I came from, when I know what I was.
I'm gonna say this: when as a person, if you ever get knocked down enough times, depending if you have willful determination, eventually you get up. And then when you get up, you're going to start swinging. And when you swing back enough at life, you'll start figuring some stuff out. And I
But
think a
see,
lot of people have to build fortitude to push forward.
but a lot of people that need the healing journey are the niggas that swinging. Okay? They're the ones that need the heal. They ain't the ones that really be getting knocked down. It's the niggas that swinging, hitting bitches. They the ones that need that you sitting up here throwing haymakers in life because you haven't figured out what is this that does this. Why do you react this way? What is happening? What has happened that makes you feel you have to react this way? What got you so upset that you had to move like that when you move like that?
So, I have this conversation with my clients all the time when we talk about CBT, right? Which is just a basic way of saying processing your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. So many people move from 0 to 100. They go from, I thought this in a moment, and I'm
Hmm.
reacting. They never get a chance to process how they feel about things. And when you really take your feelings and use them as a priority and not a weakness, because so many people feel like, oh, if I feel angry about this, if I feel sad about this, I'm showing signs of weakness. No, process those emotions so you can make more informed decisions.
Yeah.
Add 10 more seconds to the thought process and really understand yourself better so you don't react in the wrong ways. And a lot of people are guilty of that. It's rare. If I wouldn't have to have conversations like this every day with men and women alike that say, start to give yourself some time to really think things through and process how you feel about them. It'll help you move
No, that's
different
the
every
fact.
time.
That's the fact. It's in general, like just in general with anything, however you move with anything, you need a processing time. So I'm gonna tell you a story. I'm not even trying to be funny. So of course you've known me for years. So at one point, you know how we all get in that, like, get you a little gun phase, whatever, whatever, right? Like protection wise. I remember my dad told me like, Ashley, keep the gun in the trunk and keep the bullets somewhere else, because you need time to think to yourself what you about to do. Because I know you, and you get hot so quick that you liable to shoot up everybody. Like ain't nobody gonna have a chance.
To their
And so it's
own self.
that thing.
Fact.
What you say?
Like I said, to thy own self be true. He knew his
See what I'm
baby.
saying?
He knew his baby.
Yeah, because you really in all sense of the form. And I didn't understand that then when he said it. But now looking back at it, it's kind of like you're like, yeah, because in all sense of the form, you need that time to really sit there and be like, okay, how do I move in this situation? What is the best step for me to take in this situation? No matter what it is, you know what I'm saying? What is the best step for me moving forward?
Let me tell you something right now. The worst type of situations or relationships you could be in is ones that take you out of your true character
Ooh.
and activate a part of you that you don't want to face in the mirror in the morning. If you get
Mm-hmm.
me to step outside of my character and then you get me to get upset with myself because I lost my cool and I don't like what I did afterwards, that's the worst type of person for me to ever be around. Because, like I said, I'm mad that you shook the table for me, but this person that I'm going to turn into once you shook the table, I'm scared of her.
You
And I
ain't
can't allow her
lying.
out. You know
You
what
ain't
I'm
lying. Because
saying?
if I let the gate out on that bitch, okay?
Don't. Everybody got a little Jasmine Sullivan. I'll bust the windows out your car in their heart. I'm not gonna stunt, okay?
Not
I have
Jasmine Sullivan.
a
No, for
little
real.
too. I've
Jasmine,
almost went Carrie,
Kelly
Carrie Underwood, all of them.
Underwood, all of them. How you want to go? We
You know,
all
however you
got a
want to
piece
go,
of
but
that somewhere.
even Beyonce said, "Ring the alarm," right? Okay, I'm just saying. Everybody has had those moments, right? But like I said, if you ever feel like you're with somebody and there's too many of those experiences, that's problematic. It's problematic. And it's like you have to ask yourself the hard questions. What is compelling me to sit in a situation that brings the worst parts of me out?
Yes.
That allows
You're
me
like,
to
does this,
value
we
the situation.
have to sit and be like, does this situation serve us? Does it serve you? And is it worth everything that you have? Like now, like we talked about, we all are in better situations where a lot of us have a lot to lose. Is it worth all that? Is it worth losing, like you said, your livelihood to be telling a story like some of these females where, man, done put me behind bars and everything else? Or even with men, is it worth all that? Is it worth you getting there, getting locked up over a female and turn around and now she's sleeping with your best friend because you done did all that? Is it worth it?
You know, I told this to people too. I was like, they said, be careful who you lay down with. Be careful who you let into your home. All of those things matter. Who you allow around your kids. I cannot stress that enough too. People, be careful who you allow around your children. All of those things matter. And I feel like so many people our ages that also impacts like how they continue to foster these relationships too, because they let people around their other family members. They let people stay too long in a personal space. And it makes it harder
Mm-hmm.
once you have all the connections made. Like, man, I remember I had a friend who used to say this all of the time. Everybody would warn her. She used to tell me, like, my sisters told me that man ain't no good. My cousin told me that man ain't no good. My best friend was just like, leave him alone. And she would have maybe a few people was like, he seems like such a nice guy every time he comes around. But you had the real ones who peep game when they would be around the person.
Like he ain't right.
And every time this friend would say to me, like, yo, like, what do you think about the person? I was like, it doesn't matter what I think. What do you think? The fact
Mm-hmm.
that you got to go around asking everybody what they think about this person, that means you already have a feeling about him.
You already
You
know.
are
If, if
you
you,
gotta if you
you gotta
gotta
take a
ask
poll,
every homegirl and every homeboy, you know.
if you gotta take a poll,
You
you
don't
know
gotta
what's up.
have to. That's all I'm saying. And I had to say that to her. And, you know, years down the road, it took her a while to walk away from that really bad situation. And she was like, you know what? You never judged me. You never rushed me. But you encouraged me to seek truth for myself. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that's all people really got to need. It's like, look, I ain't going to tell you because the minute I start screaming loud in your face talking about, hey, what's wrong with you? Why are you still dealing with this person? You're not going to receive it. You're not going to respect it the same way. So all I can do is say to you, if you have those questions that you asking yourself, if you feel like you're in a situation and ain't sitting right with your spirit, you know what you need to
But
do. You know how
you
you
know what?
got to move.
Also, it's no point in me going blue in the face to tell you how I feel about somebody or what I seen or what's this, and you gonna still make up in your mind whatever you want to make up to still deal with that person anyway. And that's what ends up happening. If it what makes you happy in the moment, you don't see it. What's good for you is good for you. Because I can tell you how I feel about something, what I seen, what I heard, what I got from the person. But if you have not made up in your mind that, okay, this person is moving foul. Everybody sees it. Everybody done said something, this, that, and the third. Ain't nothing I can say. Ain't nothing nobody can say. So ain't no point in me going blue in the face.
Let me tell you something right now, because as human beings, we make excuses for people. We justify the actions of others when we really shouldn't. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
control what other people do. You can only control yourself. That's your locus of control. That's the only thing that you have responsibility over is what you do. What comes out of your mouth and how you move is what's in your control. But a lot of people, they justify, man, I got to understand. He had it rough. He been through a lot. That's why he acts this way.
Nope.
Oh, what? That's really a good woman. Like she, other dudes had done her wrong. That's why she treat me like this. Nah, baby,
Let me
that there's a
tell
personal
you
sense
something.
of
I remember I dealt with a guy, and that was his friend's favorite line. Like, he done had a hard life. Life done hit him early. This, that, and the third. These people done passed, and this, and this. Every excuse under the world. No. Here's the deal. At the end of the day, we have to be grown enough to understand life's on every goddamn body. I get it. Something happened. It upsets you. Your friends pass. I understand that. But life happens to me too. I'm not going to sit up here and treat you. That does not allow you to be an asshole because life done life on you. We're not doing that. No more than it allows me to be an asshole. So no, I get it. You had some shit happen, but still come at me like you got some sense. Come at me with a form of respect. And if you can't, the door.
You had brought this up before. Wasn't that Nikki Giovanni who said, you go to work, you get yelled at by your boss, the white man treats you bad,
Yes,
you come home, mistreat me, right?
yes.
Why don't you smile at me the way that you smile at those crackers at your job, right?
Let me tell
And
you
that used
something.
to be so real. Y'all know I love me some Nikki Giovanni. And the reality of it is that people will put up a good false out in the world. You're angry with your life experiences. You're upset about the trials and tribulations and the traumas that have occurred. But then you get back and you bring that energy into your house.
Yes.
And everybody who is around you and in relation to you has to experience the brunt of that abuse. Whether it be emotional, psychological, physical, they have to experience that because you're not happy within yourself. And that's why I say it's clear as day. People who are in those situations who make excuses for their partner, I'm not going to trauma bond with you. I'm not
We're
going to
past that.
allow myself to say, you know what, I've been through some rough times. You've been through some rough times. If I keep leaning on you and you keep leaning on me, we can
Mm-hmm.
get
But
through
we're
this together. It's
also
not always that simple. It's not always that simple.
we also not about to play battle of the who had the worst either. That's what we're not about to do
Mm.
either. We're not about to play battle who had the worst.
I had said something one time I was expressing to a guy that I was involved with. I had told him, like, man, like today just felt like I got knocked down. And I did. I told him, I was like, man, I feel like life knocked me down that day.
Mm-hmm.
And he turned to me and he was like, I don't want to hear no color purple lines out of you. Your life
Oh,
hasn't been that hard, right?
okay.
And, in that moment, I had to say to myself, I was like, you know what? I can understand that I may not have experienced the worst of the worst, but you can't tell me what bad is for me. You can't determine, you can't tell me what my struggles, my traumas, or anything have been. But for
That's
that
just,
person to dismiss it in a way that was like, it
it didn't even happen.
wasn't a color purple narrative, in that moment, their trauma had trumped anything that I was experiencing in that moment. Because for them, they're like, I know color purple type of trauma. I know trials and tribulations. You can't tell me that anything that you experience in your day is as bad as anything that I may have experienced in life.
And
And
that's
I
what
feel
I'm
like if you
saying.
involve yourself with people like that, you constantly come in conflict.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. We're not about to play battle who had the worst. Like you said, I've been in a situation before where I could have sat there and been like, ooh, um, I got fired today. Well, I got fired and they told me I can't work at no company ever again. You be like, why are we playing battle of who had the worst today? Or you be like, I have a headache. Well, I have a headache and my throat hurt. Like, hold the hell up. Okay. What the hell is going on?
No, like seriously, misery loves company. And you gotta understand, know when you found if you find somebody, I hate this about a lot of people sometimes. I really gotta say this. Do not get into a relationship at your low. Do not get into a relationship at your low. So many people be hitting on hard times, and then that's when they end up finding somebody to link themselves up with. That
That's
is
right.
not the time. That is absolutely a moment where you need to pour into you. Don't accept favors and gifts. Don't extend that outreach of a hand, because at that time, that person can also see and feel where you're extending some level of vulnerability. And I feel like so many people end up in a situation where it's like, I got into a relationship when I really didn't have an opportunity to heal myself. I wasn't doing well. I was still emotionally trying to recover. I was mentally trying to recover. And then I got with somebody without realizing it that it wasn't going to be a good situation. Because everything looks good when you're hurting. Anybody's hand looks good when you're hurting. And there's a lot of people that may
Okay.
offer to pick you up, but that don't mean they have the right intentions.
That's fact. So, friend, people that know, it's savage question time.
Savage question time. So talk to me.
All right. What will it take for you to stop sacrificing your happiness for the sake of someone else's happiness?
Baby. Honestly, like being the person that I am now, if it wasn't for the glory of God, I say it just like that. Like I had to get to a point where I value this thing that we call life for me as a person. Like I appreciate it so much. And I think that if more people had appreciation for themselves and just their human experience, then
Mm,
they will be able to walk away from things that no longer serve them. And I
yeah,
love myself so ferociously, so intensely that I can't allow myself to be in any situation that doesn't uplift me and empower me and push me towards my potential and my purpose. I just can't.
that's a fact. I can say I definitely understand what you're saying. Sacrificing my happiness is not an option. It's not even on
It's not.
the table. It's not for discussion. Because if you are in any relationship, right, and I do mean in all sense of the form, whether family, anything, um, sacrificing, it should be an equal trade-off. So sacrificing should not even be in the book. It shouldn't even be in the playbook for y'all. It should be an equal trade-off where nobody feels like I had to put this down to pick you up. I had to belittle myself to make you important. I had to put everything I love and care about on the side to make sure you were okay and you were good in that moment because it was all about you.
Like I said, there's no person that you should ever put yourself around where you feel like you got a strength, that you become
No,
less than anybody that you put yourself next to. If they're not pouring into your cup, and there's not that reciprocity where you're lifting them up, and you feel lifted up by that relationship and connection, it's not worth it. It's
no,
not. So I feel like everybody has that moment where they get there. I just wish that people get there a lot quicker than they used to.
facts.
I feel like
Because
you
we
get to a
talking about
certain age,
it.
baby.
It took us a
Yeah, don't wake up at
while.
40 or 50. Don't wake up at 40, 50, 60. I still want you to wake up. And if it take you out there to get to about 70 to wake up, well, that's on you, boo.
Let me
But
tell you
I
something.
tell people,
I tell people this though. Everybody wakes up though. Everybody. I tell people this all the time. At one point, a lot of these people be thinking they had somebody that's going to be a dummy forever. Everybody wakes up. Like you said, I hope it don't take you 40, 50, 60. Everybody wakes up. Because like I said, it was at a point where like I said, I'm woke now, but I wasn't woke all the time where I sacrificed myself a lot of times. I seen it in my face, watched it, seen the disrespect, seen it, looked at it, even picked it up, put it in my hand, goddamn it. Not doing that shit no more.
we said in one of the earlier episodes, we talked about self-preservation. And that's what kicks in. When you start to
Mm-hmm.
realize I have nothing else to give to anybody else. And what I have left is just for me. And if I lose that, then I'm taking
What I
myself
got.
out of what I got. So that's just the reality. That self-preservation is enough to keep me motivated and to keep me going forward. I'm not willing to sacrifice my self-worth and my self-love to debase myself for another individual. And so many people, like you said, you get there over time. But baby, we here now, right? When you get into that space, that good spot, you don't ever want to bring yourself back to the old version.
You ain't lying. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I worked too hard. I moved too hard. I did too much in my life to get where I'm at now. But sacrificing is not an option. Putting myself to the side is not an option. We're going to have to find another game plan. Like you said, disrespect is not an option. It's a lot of things that aren't an option for me. And
Period.
this is why you understand the older you get, your circle gets smaller. People that you felt like was your friend ain't your friend no more. Family members that you felt like because you were my family member, you have to be around me. No, I don't give a damn your title. If you move on me crazy, you can go ahead and move around.
That's just a fact. If it's no longer serving you, you feel like it's not supportive, it's okay to walk away from it and let it go. This journey that we call life, you only get one. And what you do with it while you're on this earth is very important. Pouring into yourself, finding things that bring you joy and keep you emotionally satisfied and happy are important. And I feel like people seek value in other people before recognizing their own self-worth. And that's a big
That's right.
part of the problem.
But
Like
that's the
there's no
thing.
level of companionship that you can have that is more valuable than the relationship that you have with yourself. You'll be a lot happier in your connections with other people when you learn to really big up yourself, when
Mhm.
you learn to pat yourself on the back
When you
and really go through a healing process.
when you give yourself that self love, but we also talked about it. We're like sometimes, like I was saying, you have to be by yourself and take that self healing. But like you said, the silence is loud. But you have
Mm,
to sit up there and you have to battle with that silence. Like sit in it. I tell people all the time, like, it's okay not to be okay. Just sit in it though. Sit in it and find out what you need to do. But you have to sit in that silence. And I think that's the thing. Sometimes a lot of people end up in situations they end up in because they don't want to be alone. They don't want to sit in that silence. They rather have a bunch of people around them than to sit up there and have nobody around them and deal with what the real issue is.
You know, most people don't make changes until they get good and tired. They don't leave a job
Mm.
until they're good and tired. They don't leave a relationship until they good and tired.
So
Like I
they
said,
worn out.
bad gotta be in bad. They gotta be worn out. They gotta feel beaten down. Like I say, it's not until some people feel like they get knocked down do they make a decision that says, I gotta get up and I gotta do something totally different. They don't
That's
listen to
right.
those little things along the way that say this wasn't for me. Complacency is another thing. I would say comparison is a thief of joy, but so is complacency. If you're
I'm gonna
sitting
tell
in a
you.
situation that doesn't work, you got to figure out how to move things forward. And I'm not gonna say it's easy, but it's something that has to be done.
I'm gonna tell you. And you know, I'm very heavy on this. Like we have had this conversation so many times. I tell people all the time, move out of a situation before something makes you move. Move before something the unforgivable happens.
A little
The
loud,
fact of the matter is this. You'll say a little loud for people in the
a
cheap seats.
little louder for the people in the cheap seats.
You have to get out of a situation before you have no chance. What I mean by that is this: whatever you believe in, whether it's God, anything else, the universe, I don't care what it is. If something is not meant for you, it will move. It will, because it's not supposed to be here. So it will move. Get it out your way before you have no other option. You have a lot of people that will sit up here and be like, Lord, if this person ain't for me, let a red Corvette go past. And then you see a red Corvette go past. Then what you tell yourself? Was that
Yep.
red, or was that like a dark red? It don't
Yeah,
matter. You asked for a red
red, but
Corvette.
deep cherries
Now
up.
you're sitting
Yeah.
up here wondering why you you like you said you done became inmate 27959 because you had all these signs. The universe, God, like I said, whoever you believe in, shifted everything because if something is not meant for you, it will move. It's going to move. It's no other option. So move yourself, remove yourself before the unforgivable happens, for the worst possible thing that you didn't even think could happen. And I'm saying this to somebody where I have had that happen to me. And I'm going to tell you now, I don't need more than one sign and one time for something to make me say, you're going to have to move to the side.
Sometimes you only have to learn a lesson once. And like I said, there's a few people that be a part of the class that be like, oh girl, now I don't have to learn that lesson about 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And that happens. Some people will quick study, some people aren't, right? But the reality
Mm-hmm.
of it is everyone finds themselves in a situation where they gotta realize that they cannot sit and they can no longer tolerate whatever is taking place
Okay.
that's leading to their unhappiness. But you gotta get good and fed up. And like you said, those signs and those symbols that you get, pay attention to it. Whatever you felt like the universe was trying to tell you, whatever you feel like the spirit was trying to
Whatever
tell
it
you,
is,
listen to that voice. It's called discernment. Listen to
listen
that
to
thing
it.
that's inside of you called your intuition that tells you this is not good for me. This is not
Mm-hmm.
keeping me healthy physically, spiritually, mentally. This is no longer what I need to be or what I should be doing. And
Mm-hmm.
that's in
Listen to it,
all
because
aspects.
like I said, I tell people this: when you, like I said, whatever you believe in, when you go there with it, when you give it to God, give it to the universe, whatever it is, that's the last step. It's nothing else to give it to after that. Once you give it there, when you get the answer you looking for, listen, move, do the work, do what you need to do. Because if not, shit gonna shake and you're not gonna like it. But friend, on that note, let's get ready to send them out.
All right, so yes, it's around that time. You know, we appreciate you guys rocking with us on Who Woke the Savage. It's your girl, Miss Swollen Woke, aka Day from Around the Way.
It's your girl, Lady A Savage.
And so, you know, we want you to continue to join us. We are here every other week on Thursdays at 8:30. You can follow us across all social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. It's your girl, Miss Well and Woke. And I was like, and you have my homie, Lady A Savage, on TikTok. Follow her on Instagram. And make sure you sign up for our YouTube channels. We got the Miss Well and Woke YouTube channel. We have the Lady A Savage YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, comment, because we want to hear from y'all. I seen some claps, some taps, some shakes, some pops, and some parades inside of this crowd tonight. And so make sure y'all drop a little feels. And if y'all want to hear something for us to talk about, DM us.
Always. Like I said, I'm always taking Savage questions. DM, let us know how y'all feel. Like I said, we growing together, y'all.
We love you for free.
You know it.
Have a good night.
Out.